In the next 12 months, the top earners won't be the best coders, they won't be the best marketers, or even the best salespeople. They'll be the ones who know how to build a brand, sell a transformation, and cut through the noise in a world drowning in AI. I'm gonna walk you through the 9 business skills with the highest income potential that you can master today, even if you're starting from zero. This is not just another hustle video. This is the blueprint for actually making money in 2026. Starting with skill number 1, which is brand building with income potential between $5,000 to $10,000 a project if you do it as a consultant. So here's the thing that most people don't realize is while AI is making everything faster, it's also making everything way more generic at the same time. Every business is pumping out content and every creator is using the same tools. And the result is that most content out there right now is super generic. The people who win in 2026 are the ones who stand out. A brand that says, this is who I am. This is the feeling of what it's like to work with me, and this is who I serve. This is the one problem that I solve better than anyone else on the planet. The whole game here is how to differentiate yourself. And differentiation starts with a brand that's built around one specific person with a specific problem, and you have that specific solution for that person. Everyone that's copying and pasting exactly what AI is telling them is getting generic content and is making them lazy, and not in a good way. So here's how you build a brand that will stand out in 2026. Number 1, get crystal clear on your niche. Not a broad category, a specific person in a specific situation with a specific pain. Because the more specific you are, the more income potential there is. And that is just the way it works. Number 2 is positioning yourself as the problem solver for that issue. The goal here is not to be a product pusher. It's to be a problem solver. People don't buy products, they buy outcome, and they buy outcomes from category experts, which means it has to speak deeply to whatever problem they're facing. Number 3 is showing up consistently with a single point of view. Now, AI doesn't have opinions unless you train it to. It's highly sycophantic and it'll placate you all day by telling you you're a genius and you have the greatest ideas. You, however, have opinions and real life experience that AI can never and will never be able to replicate. That is your edge. The crazy part nowadays is most people jump on AI and they say like, how can I make as much money as fast as possible, right? And they completely skip the brand, the feeling, and they go straight into tactic, or they start with something that they're passionate about and skilled at without thinking about what is the absolute end game? Who am I talking to? The trick here is to build the brand first and test if it even works in the market before you go out and build it. If you're able to convey a real struggle with a real feeling and a real problem, and even better if it's one you've overcome yourself, that is just something that AI can't duplicate. Which brings us to skill number 2, niche identification and avatar mastery. So the income potential here as a consultant is, again, if you're doing branding and consulting, probably between $5,000 and $10,000 a project. I genuinely don't think there is a more underrated skill in the market. Everyone is talking about AI tools and funnels, but nobody's really talking about this. And if they are, they're not really talking about it long enough or from the right angle. The truth is if you don't know exactly who you're talking to, how they think, what keeps them up at night, what frustrates them, nothing is going to work to get these customers into your business. Not your content, not your ads, definitely not your sales calls. And here's a truth that a lot of people don't want to hear, is that it's extremely difficult to get rich selling $30 or $40 products to random people or anybody who will take it on the internet. The math just does not work. You need an affluent niche, a group of people who have a real problem, who have the money to spend, and who are actively looking for somebody to solve that issue. Step number 1 is find the problem worth solving. Get out there and actually start talking to people. Talk to consultants. Talk to people who are already in the niche that you want to serve, and ask them, what is the problem that keeps coming up over and over and over again? Get really curious and ask lots of questions. What do people say that they need to have fixed in their business or in their life on a daily basis. That is where the gold is at. Step number 2 is don't just understand the problem on the surface. Go super deep. Learn how these people think. Find every angle you possibly can to think about the pain or problem that your prospect is facing. Learn every pain point from every single angle that you possibly can. Learn what they've already attempted to do to fix their own issue. Because if you can get really good at describing someone's problem better than they can, they'll not only assume you have the solution, but they'll probably be right about it. Now, your goal here is to become a total category expert, which means there's a real opportunity cost here. It means you'll have to start saying no to 100 other niches and pathways to wealth and really focus on one problem and solution, go super narrow and deep into it. And honestly, this is a muscle that you actually have to learn how to flex. Number 3, surround yourself with people you want to serve. Get into their Facebook and Reddit communities, research their conversations. ChatGPT has this deep research function that allows you to say something like, research all of the Reddit conversation, find 25 examples of 25 different pains that people are experiencing in XYZ industry and in XYZ niche. You'll learn more in 2 weeks of really deep immersion like this than you will in 2 years of guessing and assuming what these people want. The people who master this skill and learn to iterate quickly become irreplaceable because they end up not just selling a thing, they sell a true understanding of a real problem for a real person because they've invested the time and energy to try and understand their problems deeply. And that is a skill that will always pay. Which brings me to skill number 3, content creation and distribution. Now, there are kids who are 18 to 20 years old and even younger who are making like $75 to $150 an hour just making content. Now, the crazy thing about this is content used to be something that only big brands did. Only the biggest players could afford to do. And now a single person can get a message to millions of people. And individuals can build absolutely massive empires. But here's what most people get wrong. They're told, just put out a bunch of content. And they think that volume is a good strategy. And while volume is a good strategy, volume without quality is just more noise. And we've already established that's the exact opposite of what we want to be doing. The real skill here is learning to create content that earns attention. And the only way you're able to do that is by speaking to the person as if you know what's going on inside their mind and in their head. You need to stop those people mid-scroll and get them to watch 70 to 80% of a video. Now, if you don't know how they think, you don't know what's keeping them up at night, you're not going to be able to talk to these people, which goes back to the concept of understanding your avatar. Now, I spoke to a business owner recently that is in the fitness industry, and their business primarily serves 2 niches, retired folks and tech bros. Now, the problem with creating content for both of those audiences is you're going to start speaking to too broad of an audience by watering it down and talking about both. If you create content that targets just one of these, you'll reach more of the right people. You'll either be known as the business who focuses on retired folks or the business who focuses on tech bros. And that's a real trade-off. The great thing is once you know how to talk to your niche, you'll be known as the go-to person, and that in itself is branding. The stamp of you being known as the business that helps a very specific type of person. So the first thing that you do here is you start studying the people who are performing at the highest level of content creation in your niche. And if there aren't people serving, retired folks or tech bros, look for somebody who's serving a niche that might be adjacent. Pregnant women, there's all kinds of different niches that you can look at and find content strategies that are already working and going viral. Now, the strategy here is not to just copy what they're doing. It's to copy what strategies they're implementing that are already working so you can find your own version of it. Now, the second step is to create content about the problem you solve. And You're not going to be creating content about yourself. Don't create content about your process. Nobody cares, honestly. Do you want to talk about the problem your avatar is losing sleep over right now? Because that's what they're going to be scrolling and seeing and searching for at midnight. The third step in content creation is stacking distribution. So one piece of content can go everywhere. So long form clips can become short form clips. Questions in the comments can be future videos or reels or email campaigns. Reels can also become tweets. They can go on LinkedIn, they can go on TikTok, they can go on Instagram. And your best performing content are things that can drive conversations and drive sales. It's kind of like having a spring feed into a reservoir that feeds into a river. And that river provides nutrients to all of the plants downstream. And all of the plants downstream are all of the sales you're gonna make if you get the spring right. The best part is once you find which pieces of content are performing the best, you can put paid advertising behind that because you already know it's past that 70 to 80% retention and will perform well at capturing the attention of your avatar. That way you're not just guessing what's gonna perform well, you've actually proven it up front, and then you're just distributing the highest attention grabbing content. Which brings us to skill number 4, sales. Now, I've done tens of thousands of sales calls, from cold calls to warm calls and hot calls booked into my calendar. And trust me when I say sales is never going away, because sales is the lifeblood of every business on earth. And honestly, anybody who says that AI will replace sales don't really understand what sales actually is. Sales isn't just like convincing somebody to do something that they don't want to do. That's manipulation. Now, real sales is about educating people about a transformation that they already want but haven't fully committed to yet, which means that every piece of content and every way that you build rapport with people up to the point that they actually book a call in your calendar is the sales process. And most people's BS detectors are up so high that if you try to convince them to buy something that they don't need, and you probably know that they don't need it too, they are going to sense that and they're going to run the complete opposite direction. That's what bad salespeople do. They try and convince somebody into buying something that they don't need because they need the sale. Good salespeople try to find the absolute best fit people by talking to the most qualified prospects. And qualified prospects only come from brand and avatar targeting and the content that you produce upstream from them booking something on your calendar. If you're not getting sales easily, it's because something upstream in your funnel is not working properly. See, most people think of sales as a conversation at the end of a funnel. But the highest earners understand that sales starts with the moment that somebody finds out about you. It starts with your content being so useful and specific to them by the time that they get on the call with you that the decision is pretty much already made. They just need confirmation. So here's how you sell in 2026. Lead with education. Teach people something genuinely useful before you ask for anything. Ask them questions and actually get to know them. Make money off of absolutely giving everything away for free, but get paid for implementation, not just for creating content. If you don't understand their unique story, you won't be able to relate to the person on the other side of the phone. And sales is all about the prospect feeling like you really understand them. The person who gives the absolute most value before they ask for the sale wins, always. If they don't feel like you understand them, you probably won't get the sale. The thing that you're selling is not a product or service. I really want to drive that home. It's a version of someone's life that they want to be. You need to paint that picture for them, like a Mona Lisa. You need to make it so real that you help them actually feel what the brush strokes feel like on the canvas when they run their finger over the dry paint. They see the colors of the painting in their mind. Like, it needs to feel that real for them. When you are specific about what the other side of that transformation looks like, the more vividly they can imagine what their life will look like, easier the decision becomes for them to weigh in their mind. Step number 3 is learn to sell high ticket. And I'm a huge believer in this because it is way more difficult to sell a $200 item to 100 people than it is to sell a $10,000 transformation to 2 people. The effort is not even comparable. The effort is similar in terms of what actually acquire a customer, but the outcome is wildly different. And that's why it's important to have a business model that works, not just a product that sells. And here's the truth that nobody talks about is if what you're selling is low leverage, meaning they'll enjoy it once and forget, like a meal at a restaurant or a little trinket you get at Walmart, you're building a treadmill, not a business. You need to sell something that transforms people, that lasts many years in their mind. Those are the things that are worth selling at a high price. Something that you are gonna be able to improve their life for many years to come. Which brings us to skill number 5, which is financial modeling and business math. All right. I'm gonna say something that a lot of people are not gonna wanna hear. Most people who want to build a business have absolutely no idea how money actually works. And I get it. It's because nobody really taught you how to manage your money. And I did a lot of research on this before I launched my YouTube channel. People talking about how to do accounting and cash flow and balance sheets and those types of videos are getting like 5 to 10,000 views, whereas like uber hyped clickbait videos get like 1 million to 5 million views. If you go to business school, it'll teach you theory. YouTube will teach you some tactics, but almost nobody is actually just gonna sit down with you and walk you through the most important metrics and numbers inside your business. And that is the reason that most businesses fail in the first 5 to 10 years, because they just don't track and keep track of the right thing. It's also the reason it's so painful for a lot of entrepreneurs to talk about their numbers and why money is so taboo in general. But the pain there is actually like medicine. You overworked your shoulder and it's pain. And it's the pain teaching you that you need to stretch and relax. And it's not comfortable, but it's absolutely necessary. The entrepreneurs that do this stretching of their comfort zone, the people that take a really cold, hard, honest look at their metrics and numbers on a regular basis, are absolutely the people that come out ahead of 99% of people and end up in the top 10 to 1%. Here's the deal. Start with the end in mind. That's straight from one of the most iconic business books of all time, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Work backwards from the amount of money that you actually want to make. Not a vague number, not someday money, a real number, a monthly number, that can even be a weekly number. And then reverse engineer exactly what it will take to get there. I'm talking, if you want to make $10,000 a month, how many clients do you need at what price to get there? And how much do you need to spend on ads, or like how many pieces of content get you there? How many views do you need to get a call book? You need to start to question every single dollar you spend and ask yourself, is this $1 I'm spending actually gonna turn into $5? Every single one of those questions I just asked has a number that you can put behind it. And when you know the numbers, you can stop guessing and start executing with confidence. Number 1, the first step of this is just build a simple financial model before you do anything else. Even if it's just a spreadsheet, even if it's just on a napkin, you need to understand like the basic in and out of a business, right? If I'm gonna spend this amount, it's gonna generate that amount. And if you don't know that number off the top of your head, then you probably won't ever have a real business. You might have something that's like potentially draining and an expensive hobby where you're broke, but you're probably not thriving. The second most important part of business, money, and financial modeling is understanding your client acquisition cost. So if you spend $100, how much money does that generate on the back end? Is it 150? Is it 1,000? If you don't know this number exactly and track it regularly, you're gonna be completely flying blind. Number 3, if you wanna make FU money, then you need to understand how a business model can actually scale. The business that I helped build in the last year is making $1.6 million a year. And the question before we ever launch a new product is this idea gonna make at least $250,000? Because that's the floor that we set. And if we have any hesitation, if we walk through the business model in our head and we can't accurately say that this thing is going to generate $250,000, we won't even pursue the idea. Which brings us to skill number 6, idea validation. This is the most underrated skill on this entire list, and I think it's because nobody talks about it enough. Everyone talks about building, and maybe they talk about validating an idea, but they don't actually talk about how to do it. So here's the truth. You should not spend one single hour building a product or a service or a course or anything until you've actually validated it. This is not cautionary, this is tactful and prevents you from wasting tons of energy up front. Every single one of the biggest businesses in the world do this before they launch a product. And this is the single skill that separates solopreneurs that stay stuck and broke from entrepreneurs who make $2 million a year businesses that operate without them. This step is about personal energy management, alignment, and discipline. The difference between those people who make it a point to prove their idea in 2 to 4 week sprints before they build anything versus the ones who get burnt out spending 6 months or God forbid years of their life grinding on low value, low margin tasks and keep building something that no one wants. Step number 1 is build the brand before you build the product, before you build anything. Publish content about the pain point and see who responds. See what gets traction. Let the market tell you if the problem is real to collect really good data. Number 2 is always pre-sell your idea before you produce it. You can always give refunds or push out the start date if you can't generate enough initial demand. Now, this is the oldest trick in the entrepreneurship game, and people skip this step. Before you build the course, the software, the service, sell it first. Build a landing page. Understand the niche well enough to speak deep down to your ideal customer, even if it's just a beta. And if no one buys it when you describe it, they will not buy it when you build it. Number 3, and I actually like AI for this because it allows you to iterate very quickly, which is like a superpower. But you have to surgically test specific ideas after you understand the deep issues and problems that your niche actually struggles with. AI can compress months of trial and error into just days or weeks. Because here's the thing, a bad idea executed perfectly is still a bad idea. So if you validate your idea in a sprint-like, iterative fashion without getting too attached to an idea you like, and then build it after you've nailed the product architecture, then that you can scale it. Which brings us to skill number 7, mindset and self-leadership. And the income here is unlimited. I know you didn't expect mindset on this list, but here's why it's here. Every skill that I just described is learnable. Branding, sales, content design, AI and iteration, business models, learning how to press play on ads and generate revenue, idea validation, all that stuff can be taught, but none of it works if you're stuck in your own head and you're playing small. So don't go pulling another book off the shelf to get inspired. Don't stay in an endless cycle of preparing to prepare and never actually building anything real in the real world. Because the gap between where you want to be and what exists in your mind is only bridged by those who actually take action day in and day out. And nobody's gonna close that gap for you. Not AI, not a mentor, not another course. You have to decide the person that you wanna be today. Every day, visualize the end result. What do I need to delete from my schedule or from my life in order to achieve that result? What requirements about the way I operate did I make up that shouldn't even exist in the first place? That's one of the only questions that actually matter. Number 2, surround yourself with people who are absolutely obsessed with the same problem you're trying to solve. This is massive. The people around you determine the ceiling of what you think is possible. Get into rooms with people who are already where you want to be. Their norm can become your new baseline. If you surround yourself with people who always complain with self-limiting beliefs about why something won't work or why they can't do it or whatever, that is going to keep you broke. You have to protect your execution and time your most valuable asset, because it is. Garbage in is garbage out. And that applies to your brain too. Whatever you consume, whoever you spend time with, whatever you think about before you sleep, all of it programs into you. So program it deliberately. So my challenge to you is pick the skill on this list that you're the weakest in, just one, and go back to the beginning of that section and listen to it over again and work on that thing today. Because the people who get rich in 2026 aren't going to be the people who already knew the most. They're going to be the people who are honest with themselves and know that building a business can be messy and that they need to iterate and adjust as they go. And if you want my exact framework for validating a business idea fast using AI and a step-by-step PDF that I actually use with the companies that I work with, find me on Instagram and DM me the word framework and I'll send it to you right now. Now, go out there and build something real.